So I think we're just gonna have a conversation on creativity and about like exploring our passion. And I would love to for you to talk a little bit about your journey and how has that been for you since you are living in Thailand now, right? So yeah, give both of our audience a little bit of background on you, and then we'll just flow the conversation right there.
Yeah. Hi, guys. My name is Chi, and I have been creating content for, I guess, since 2019. And I started off doing food content. So I would do food photography, food animation. And over time, that evolved into making food videos. And then eventually, that went into UGC. So I would work with food and beverage brands doing UGC. And then that went into TikTok Shop. And now I am coming back and creating more content for myself, sharing more deeper, vulnerable parts of my journey. So that's been my content journey.
hmm Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think we got connected through a mutual friend, and then we actually met. Was it last year?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think so.
yeah,
During
in January.
March, I
hmm
think, or yeah,
Yeah,
January.
January. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, I really liked or vibe with, your content and like how you showed up online. And then, because, there's this talk about authenticity and like being a creative and also doing all these things as we're, pursuing life as a 20 something. So, do you think like your experience in a way has impacted the way you show up, the way you create content, and how was that for you, like balancing when you first started getting into content and exploring your passion?
Mm, that's a really great question. I think in the beginning, I had no idea what I was doing. Even now, I'm honestly still trying to figure out what I'm doing. But um, I guess one thing that helped was just posting, even though I didn't know what would come out of it, like just expressing myself. I think creating content, it started this whole journey of self expression, at least for me. And I'm also so curious for you, like, how was your content journey? Like, how has that been for you?
Yeah, so I think similarly, like for me, I started creating content and like, before this, like prefacing, like I never posted anything on my socials. Like when I first moved here, like I had never had like a social presence, because I was always like, I grew up shy, kind of like an introvert and extrovert. So I always had this idea, oh, like if I post something, it had to look good and, more like people pleasing. But then like in the beginning stages, like joined I used to sell shampoo, so like back in 2020, like 3 years of my online journey was creating content for my business, and then that's how I grew my personal account. But then at the end of 2022, 2023, I pivoted to coaching, and then I found UGC, and that's how we met, right? So I think gradually I started learning about like sales, marketing, and also how to become a thought leader instead of trying to be someone else. Because I think in the beginning stages of my content journey, I was trying to be someone. I was trying to, I don't know, fake an accent, and like it's not like there was this thin line between who I was online and then who I was in my real life. So I think I started seeing that when I took a break from posting, and I really reflected on, okay, what do I want my online world to look like? And not in a way that, oh, I want people to perceive me as a certain way, but like what do I want my younger self to look up to in a way. So I think gradually that's how my content journey has evolved. And even now I think of this as like personal branding, right? Like how am I putting myself out there? It's kind of like a portfolio. So yeah, kind of been like all over the place.
Yeah. Well, I really resonated with what you said about the people pleasing and needing the content that we post to be perfect, because I
hmm
definitely feel that. And
Yeah.
even now, it's still something I'm trying to work on, because when I post things now, because it is more vulnerable, it's not just, food content or UGC. This stuff, like when I do post, there's this element sometimes of like, am I like are people going to resonate with this? Is it going to be valuable? Like, I'm still kind of struggling sometimes with that.
Right. No, and I think I really like how you share about your journey of being like like a highly sensitive person, right? Because I think I also am an empath, and I take on a lot of like people's energy, and I know you're into spirituality and you have done a lot of like energy work yourself. So how do you clear your energy, or have boundaries online and in real life? Like, have you found some ways or practices that has worked for you? Because when we go online and post content or even consume content, there's a lot of energy that we take on, I feel like.
Yeah.
So yeah,
For
what's your
me, I've been just having more routine, like more structure in my life. That's been helping, like a morning routine where I
Mhm.
just don't use my phone in the morning. Like I'll wake up and I've actually
Yeah.
been doing the morning pages. I don't know if you're familiar
Oh
with the
yes,
artist
yeah.
way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I actually just started it. I'm currently on week 8. And so it has been 8 weeks. Like I'll just wake up and right as I wake up, I'll just start
Wow. Mm-hmm.
writing the morning pages. And that has really helped. And just going to the gym, getting movement in. And then in the evening, I'll kind of set a park walk, like walk in the park
Mm-hmm.
just by nature. And so just taking myself out of the house, like, because in the house, I feel like that's when I'm most prone to scrolling a
Yeah.
lot. So
Yeah,
just
that's
doing
true.
things outside of that. And even when it comes to posting content, because the tricky part is like because our work is so online, the boundary
Mm-hmm.
is it's unclear sometimes,
Yeah.
at least for me. And so now I've been just creating like a calendar, like a structure. I've used Claude to build like a
Mm-hmm.
dashboard to just structure like what videos I'm making, how many times a week, and then just following that. And I'll be honest, like sometimes I still fall into the doom scrolling,
Yeah.
but then I think the awareness, that's the important part because when I do catch myself, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm aware of it. And then I'm like, what am I doing? And then I'll just put my phone down. And so,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it is a work in progress. How about for
Yeah,
you?
no, same. I feel like, I like the way you said it. Like we still sometimes, like I find myself scrolling, but then it's the awareness part, and then like discerning. Okay, this is my time limit. Now, I just need to stop scrolling and need to go outside or like drink water or do whatever. But I
Yeah.
think, yeah, in the beginning stages, like even there are ebbs and flows of this journey. And there are some days where I wake up and then I don't want to open up, like go online and post and interact with my friends or community because my energy is so low, or like I'm so drained. So I think I just listen to my body. How do I feel? Like, is there anything that I can do to fill my own cup first before putting it out there? Because yeah, when we're especially like when we're putting content for ourselves, right, like for personal branding or like for other brands, I think it's really important to have, like you said, a calendar and like organization. So I think that's what I've been doing, like this year, really putting time to organize those systems, right? Okay, what's the content that I need to post, like what are the things I need to do, and just get it done versus procrastinating and like doom scrolling and yeah, falling into the trap of comparison, right? So
Yeah.
definitely, I think having systems and rituals have helped me
Yeah,
similarly.
because one thing I'm realizing is like as creative people, structures are actually so important because we would think that because we're creative, like we just want all this freedom and
Mhm.
flow, but then only within these containers and structures we can have the flow, or else it'll just be chaos. Yeah.
Yeah. No, like I sometimes find myself scribbling, content ideas, and then I will sometimes put it on my notes app, and then it will be all over the place. So I'm like, okay, I need to have like a
Mm,
structure where I have like, to-do list and then done list, or, also
yeah.
like, I was it you talked about it in the video, the four quadrant, and then I feel like you mentioned it
Oh,
somewhere about the structure, about like how we should go
yeah.
about, yeah, like prioritizing tasks or just finding something that works. Because yeah, I like structure, but sometimes there are days where I'm just like, okay, free flowing, so I
Yeah.
tend to bounce on and off. But definitely having those structured days helps. So that's, yeah, as creatives, I think it's really important to have that. But
Yeah.
yeah.
And I have a question. What are some ways you pour into your own cup? I'm so curious.
Oh, yeah. I think the first thing that I do is journaling because there are days where I go without journaling or like even brain dumping. I used to, so I started doing morning pages from the Artist Way last year, and then I think I told you that I stopped doing it, so I need to get back on it. I only
Mm.
finished week one. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
I have this habit of picking up a book, reading it, and then putting it away. So I feel like I need to go back to the artist way. But sometimes I do like brain dump because lately after I wake up in the morning, my brain is just overwhelmed with constant to-do lists. And then sometimes I sleep in, so I don't have the time to journal. So I've tried to find a time either at night to like journal before bed and then brain dump in the morning, or I do yoga. Like I think movement really helps, get into my body. And I think I have rewired like the way I perceive yoga because in the beginning stages of me getting into yoga, I was like, oh, like I need to this is for like weight loss and like toning, but now
Mhm.
it's more about like mind body connection. So I think there are, yeah, weeks where I don't do yoga and I feel the effect. I'm like, I feel drained, I feel irritated, annoyed.
Yeah.
Um, so I feel like those practices have really helped me like spend one-on-one time with myself and then actually reflect on where I'm at in life. So yeah, how about you?
Mm. I love that. Yeah, I think I've not been doing yoga too much. For me,
Mhm.
I feel like the gym is where I really try to pour into my own cup. I
Mm,
try to be consistent with going to the gym. And then the brain dumps actually help too for me because I'm someone who just overthinks a lot and I have
yeah.
just a lot going on up there and the scrolling doesn't help either. But
Mm-mm.
yeah, journaling is good for me. And then just walking in nature. Sometimes I'll play music, sometimes I don't play music, even though the no music can be a little hard because
Yeah.
then I'm just like bored, but the bored is good. um,
Mm-hmm.
and then the other thing I recently have been incorporating is like the artist dates. And so those
Mm.
have been so fun. Like they fill me with so much like joy because
Oh.
I plan every week. So I every week I just have something to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like every week is different. I'll go to museums. This week I'm going to this Mandela making class.
Oh,
And so I'm so
nice.
excited. Yeah, and they use like a sand thing to make it. I don't
Oh,
know if
wow.
you've seen those, but yeah, I'm super excited for that. So just getting in touch with my creative like inner child. I think that's been
Mm-hmm.
fulfilling for me.
Yeah, no, I like how you say that because I think that has been one of my journey too, right? Like inner child healing and just I don't know, like doing things that used to light us up as a child. So I love that you're doing the artist dates and you're planning it
Yeah.
out, like because it's one-on-one time with yourself, right? Like you're getting to know yourself on
Yes.
a deeper artistic level. But yeah, the mandala class sounds fun. I have a friend
Mhm.
who teaches like to do mandalas, like the geometric patterns. So I've always been
Yeah.
curious about that. So maybe I should look if they offer any
Yeah.
classes near me. But
Yeah. Or even just like classes where we do things with our hands, like,
mm,
floral, I don't know,
yeah.
floral arrangement or
Yeah,
pottery or
yeah,
stuff like that. I
pottery,
think,
ceramics,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yes, exactly.
Mhm. Would you like I have an interesting question? Would you call yourself a perfectionist? So like when let's say you're doing like painting, or pottery, do you want things to look like a certain way, or are you just let
Oh.
yourself be free?
Yeah, I think I would be a perfectionist, which I'm definitely trying to unlearn because I'm realizing that just stems so much from
Mm,
like the old patterning. Because
yeah.
what I'm realizing is being perfectionistic, it's less about making this thing perfect,
Mm,
but it's about like when we don't reach this standard, this like
yeah.
impossible standard that we
Yeah.
have, the thing is like we don't feel good enough. And so
Mm,
that's like what I'm trying to, I guess, reflect and analyze on myself. But I
yeah.
do consider myself a
Yeah.
perfectionist. How about you?
I think I can be a little bit of both, but sometimes when and I was like this before, right? When I used to do something like I just used to do it and then not care about the outcome, but I think as like I grow. I was gonna say older. Yeah, I grow older. I grow older, right?
Yeah.
More mature. Like I think it's this tendency to make things look perfect, right? Even like content or the way I dress, the way I like paint, painting in between the lines and being very meticulous about it. But yeah, the
Mm,
whole point of me doing that is to, allow myself to be free, if that makes sense. But yeah, I'm
yeah.
also a perfectionist.
Yeah, and do you notice, I don't know about you, but for me, something I notice is because I tend to be a perfectionistic like person, it also leads to procrastination. Do you
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
feel that too?
No, yes, I feel that way. I think especially when it comes to like booking, let's say a pottery class, I
Mm,
sometimes try to find something that, okay, it has to be this time, this day, like,
mm,
and then content too. Like there are certain times where I record a video, right? And then try to find the perfect caption, like the font, music, like I don't know, all these different logistics, and then I end up not posting it. But I found out that, it was not serving me because I think the more I tried to make my craft perfect, I won't post it if that makes sense. Um,
mm,
but
yeah.
it's also, yeah, not about, okay, I would just post a rough draft, but having something and trusting my channel, trusting what I have created is good enough,
Yeah.
not trying to make it look perfect. Because, sometimes I'm like, okay, like brands will want a certain type of, video or aesthetic because I've seen this creator do this instead of like me following
Mm,
my own style.
mhm.
So yeah, I realized that.
Yeah.
How about
Yeah.
you?
And the thing is, like, when we try to compare and like follow what others are doing, the less we are showing our truth. It's like being
Yeah.
muddled with, all of these other people's opinions and like what we think it should be. It's not like our fullest truth.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I definitely procrastinate like when it comes to doing things that for instance, Substack. Like I tell
Uh-huh.
myself, I want to write more like on Substack. But
Mm-hmm.
then right before I'm writing, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do it anymore. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
what it is. Like that procrastination. Like, let me do my laundry. Let me go grocery shopping instead of, just sitting down and writing because I think the thing for me is
Mm-hmm.
when I write, I want it to be so perfect that I just avoid doing it at
Uh,
all. Yeah.
oh, okay. Oh, so do you think like you want in your head, like your craft, your Substack essay has to look like a certain way, these many words, or has to like flow, something like that? Is that what's like
Yeah.
stopping you?
Yeah, I think so because I do consume, I mean, not too much Substack, but I have been
Yeah.
reading other people's ones, and theirs are very well written and like
Mm-hmm.
just so poetic. And I think part of me wants it to be like that.
Yeah.
And but then that isn't, my fullest truth.
Mm-hmm.
That's like I just
Mm-hmm.
want to be like that. And so, yeah, because it's a cycle, because I want to be like so
Yeah.
good and perfect at writing, I just end up not doing it. But then I feel bad. And then, yeah, it's just
You
a
go in a
vicious
loop.
cycle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, I no, I feel
Yeah.
like yeah, that's how that's why like I think the world of social media, like there's so many apps like Threads, like Substack,
Mm,
Instagram, TikToks, but I think like the way you said in the beginning stages of me like writing, because I always used to, tell myself the story that, oh, like I don't know how to write, like I can't write an essay, like people won't read, but it's all about, I don't know, like you're writing for yourself, like right, like your
yeah.
craft is for other people, but also the most important person, like individual you're trying to tend to is yourself. So I think that's how I thought, and then I just started like jotting down drafts in the beginning, and then I just published my first draft and hadn't it didn't need to look perfect. And then it
Yeah.
was mostly, it's mostly my friends reading it. And then, yeah, I think that's how I started. But there were days, because I told myself I would write, okay, 2 posts a month. But then, yeah, And then I
Mm,
saw, this opportunity of like podcasts, and then so I feel like sometimes the words flow better for me when I'm recording. So I
mhm.
think, yeah, just, finding your flow and then just posting your first draft. I think that will help you move the
Yeah.
needle. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and I love that, you just like post the draft even though, you don't expect it to be a certain way. You just write it, you just post it. And
Yeah,
yeah, it creates less resistance too. Because
exactly. Yes.
I think what I'm realizing is when we are so focused on the outcome, that
Hmm.
creates so much resistance. Whereas if we just focus on the doing part, like the
Hmm.
writing and just
Yeah.
getting, for instance, if we
Yeah.
have a download, just getting it out, sharing it out, I think
Hmm.
it's simple. It's simple. I think I just
Yeah.
tend to overcomplicate it.
No, and I think that's I like the part where you talked about resistance, right? Because
Mm.
us, reading crafts or essays of other writers, it's their style. It's good, right? You get inspiration, you get downloads, but then you have a different style, right? You might use like different structure, like topic, or the way you write is going to look unique, based on like how you channel, how you transform like your experiences into your writing. So I think, yeah, just like play with it, like
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. That's so true. Yeah. I'm curious, how has your journey with finding your voice and like posting been like
yeah.
and
Oh,
self-expression?
yeah, that's a really good question. I think, as I said, when I first started posting, like I didn't have a voice. I was trying to mimic, because we had mentors in, our business, and then like they would teach us to make posts. So I was trying to
Yeah.
be like my mentor, but then in that reflection time, like I looked at my old posts, and then I stopped posting, and then um, I started like realizing, okay, that's not who I am. Like, that's not how I sound in real life. So I think I just started writing and, like brain dumping, and also like, I think just sitting with myself and really being authentic in a way that, I was not trying to copy others, and trusting like my language, right? Since English is my second language, that's, I think, one of the stories that I told. Okay, like, I don't have the words or vocabulary, or I don't know, the linguistic knowledge to write something, right? But I think it's just how I used my own content journey and personal experiences, like after I rebranded and pivoted to coaching and UGC, and then that's how I found my style. And all about trial and error, right? Like if one post didn't do good, then I would make another one, and consistently like crafting my tone of voice. And yeah, I think that's how it came
Hmm.
about it. Yeah.
I
How
love
about
that.
you? Yeah.
For me, I would say I am still on that journey of really figuring out my voice. I think I've made more progress than
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
Because in the beginning, when I was doing UGC, it
Mm-hmm.
was, I feel like it wasn't fully me because I was still
Mm-hmm.
trying to be, super energetic because that
Mm-hmm.
is what the ads kind of require from us. It's
Mm.
like we have to
Yeah.
be a certain persona, even though it is authentic, we still have
Mm-hmm.
to bring that, specific type of energy. And so stepping away from that and now just posting more deeper, vulnerable stuff, I'm really just trying to figure it out. But
Yeah.
something I'm trying to do more of is just following what brings me joy. I feel like when I talk about things I'm passionate
Mm-hmm.
about, my
Yeah.
voice is more authentic. Like when I
Yep.
don't feel like I need to perform or like provide value or like, yeah, constantly thinking about the outcome. And when I just
Mm-hmm.
am in that state, in that flow state, just doing what I love, sharing what I'm passionate about, I think
Yeah.
that's what I'm observing. That's where
Mm-hmm.
my true voice is coming.
Oh no, I like that you talked about how like UGC demands, I don't know if that's the right word, demands like a certain persona from like creators, and then that kind of, right, like, okay, I'm making this
Yeah.
ad, but then am I this in real life? And yeah, I love that you are still finding your voice, because I also think it's like a constant journey and practice. It's not like, okay, this year I'm posting content about this, so like my whole personal brand has to look like that. And I've seen your content evolve, and like you edit your videos in such a well curated manner, and like I love the way you tell your story. So I think
Thank
even the
you.
one, yeah, series you did, I was hooked, because so it's all about telling your story, and then like being authentic, right? Because I think even though the word authentic might sound like cliche, but it is about like connecting with the audience, and like what's the impact that you're trying to make in the bigger world. I think that's how I think,
Yeah,
right?
for
Yeah.
sure. And even with authenticity, I've been realizing that when we try to be authentic,
Hmm.
that's not authentic anymore. It's more of a
Yeah.
performance. And so going deeper, like what does, authenticity mean?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's also something that I have been, thinking about, because before, okay, I was trying to be someone else. And even now, when I try to record like a video, there are times where the mentors in the space will say, okay, you need to script your videos. But then when I'm scripting my talking head videos, it does not sound authentic. So I am really trying like my best to, discern like the advice that I take from people online, or, like just trying to find my flow. Like strategy is good, but like what do I want to create from a soul level space? And I think not detaching myself from the analytics and the numbers. I think that has also helped, right? Um, yeah. How about you? Have there been any ways where you try to like detach yourself from the outcome, or the numbers, because it just can be a mind fuck sometimes.
Yeah. Let me think. Yeah, it is hard to truly detach from the analytics for me because
Yeah.
I can't help but like check it. I think because like when I was doing TikTok shop, like
Mm,
that
oh
was the
yeah.
main thing that I would
Yeah.
look
No,
at every
that's
day
true.
is like how many sales, like how much money, like all these numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to unlearn that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is tricky, but I think the most important thing is just posting and just going about my day.
Yeah.
And something that has helped actually for me is scheduling my posts. So
Mm,
on TikTok, like I'll just post things and I schedule it. And so I
yeah.
won't have to really check my phone and like the analytics as much because it's just on there. It's just like
Mm,
its own system going.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
that has helped for me.
No, that makes so much sense, because I think I used to be like, okay, I'm gonna schedule posts, but then sometimes I will go days without posting, and I think this is also the thing, right? Like when we're online creators, like we always hear this consistency is the game. So like I try not to, like brood too much over like, okay, this post didn't do as well, this didn't get views and stuff, but maybe I should try, yeah, scheduling, so that I don't obsess over the views and like numbers and all that stuff. But
Yeah. Yeah, it is hard though.
wait,
Not
no,
gonna
yeah,
lie.
yeah, it is hard. I'm also unlearning. But yeah, I had a question for you. Do you, again, I know, this online content creation space can be kind of lonely, because yeah, I have friends who are not in this space, and like I am grateful to have met people and friends like you on the online space. So like, is there um any like tips when you first got started? Like what did you have a hard time like finding community, or like how are some ways that you're trying to connect with your community online?
Mm, that is a really good question. I'm trying to think. When I first started with my food content,
Yeah.
I think it wasn't super hard for me because I felt like the more I posted, the more like I would see other content creators post and then the
Yeah.
more they would reach out too. And then it was just like, I don't know, for some reason, the more I posted, it just attracted the people. And so that was one way I found community. And then when I moved to
um,
Austin, um, it was less about the online community, but I actually got to meet these creators in real life. And so that was really nice, like just taking these online mutual creator
yeah.
friends and actually being friends with them in real life. I think that really helps because when we're online, it is good to have that support,
Yeah.
but then to actually get to know them, get to meet them, I feel like that's so powerful.
Yeah.
Um, And now in Bangkok, I will say I haven't met too many creator friends. I think I've met like
Hmm.
more like other types of friends.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it has been interesting. I think the more something I do notice is the more I post, put myself out there, the
Yeah.
more I see or like, yeah, the more there are creators there who
Hmm.
either reach
Hmm.
out or I reach out to them. But yeah, how about for you?
Yeah, no, I think same. Because there are times where, and I am like trying to like go network and like go to these creator events. But the thing about these events is like you have to get invited to it. So like other than that, there are like smaller local meetups that happen, and sometimes I go by myself. I'm scared because I won't know anybody, and you kind of I'm someone like who is open to meeting new people, but then I have to like do a vibe check or like I don't know
Yeah, I
how
feel
the
that.
people are, right,
I
right.
resonate. Yeah.
Yeah, no. So I have met a couple of creator friends, but we don't live like close to each other, so we would have to like find a midpoint and then do like a content day, and stuff like that. But yeah, there's like a handful of people who I've met locally,
Mm,
because of yeah like posting online, and then they comment on the post, or like we comment on someone else's event, and then we'll be like okay like DMing each other, and then um, yeah, being mutuals. But I think that's the part that I like about it, because some of my friends in real life are like, oh, like you just met her online, like stranger danger. I'm like, I don't
yeah.
know, like, we follow each other, we see the content, we know what they look like or sound like. So I think sometimes I'm skeptic, but most of the times I think it just ends up happening like a good, time.
Hmm.
So yeah, I have to
Yeah.
gauge it.
No, for sure. And I feel like sometimes even the people who just reach out online, for some reason, we just vibe really well outside.
Hmm.
Like maybe
Yeah,
because like we already see each other like post like what we're talking about. And so it's like an easier connection like that.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I resonate with that, because there have been times where I will meet, an online creator friend in person, and then I'll be like, okay, like you're just like how you show up, I love that, like you're not
Yeah,
putting like a
exactly.
mask on. Yeah, so
Yeah.
and like for you too, we haven't met in person, I forget. But
Yeah.
like the first time I met you, like it was, genuine and like warm, and I felt very welcoming, even though we didn't get to spend that much time. It was like a brief
Right.
interaction, right? Um,
Yeah.
so I think the, line of like being fake versus like authentic is like getting narrower, which is nice, but
Mhm.
obviously like there have been times where some people have been very shady. So not gonna, yeah,
Oh,
discount that.
okay.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
definitely, I
fair.
think, mm-hmm, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Would you say you go to more meetups than like, I guess, meeting the people online, or how does that work for you?
um, I would say like I connect one-on-one with the people versus like going to these events, because the thing about
That's
these
fair.
events is yeah like they're very large, and I don't get to connect with individual people, because before I used to think, okay, I need to network with everybody, I need to get everybody's like Instagram handles, and I need to know everybody's names. But now I think I'm more intentional about who I connect with.
Yeah.
So even if I go to like big events, I normally stick with a couple of people like that I vibe with, and I tend to skip those bigger events. So I mostly do like meetups with individual like creators, or
Mhm.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I honestly feel the same way. Because for me, I just moved to Bangkok and I'm
Yeah.
trying to make new friends.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, I did go to these like rooftop events with like, all these digital nomads. And
Oh wow.
I went there, but it got overstimulating because it was just a lot of people and then different
Mm.
energies. And I'm like, who do I talk to? And some people, they're not really here long term. They're only here for
Oh.
like a couple weeks and then they go. And so I did try going to those rooftop events, but I wouldn't say I had success like connecting
Hmm.
with people in that way. And I'm very similar in that I need to get to know people on a one-to-one level. Like I prefer that over,
Yeah.
big groups and like the small talk. Like I want to really get to know people on a deep level. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, because I think that's what I found out about like going to these larger events. Like you don't really get to, know like
Mhm.
people or like what their passion is, because yeah, same, like I want to know you one-on-one versus like in a bigger setting. And also I realize like I sometimes act differently in bigger settings, with people versus like
Mhm.
smaller settings. Yeah, and so I had to be really mindful of that because I didn't want to put on a mask, right? So I just, yeah, make my choices or discern like, okay, is this something that I want to go to versus like I would rather like meet with them like one on one. So kind of gauge it that way. And like you don't have to say yes to like all the events, right? I feel like that's how I feel lately. Like I try to be really mindful of like who I give my time and energy to. Um, yeah. How about you? Do you
Mhm.
feel like you're more because like we're creatives and we also like tend to we only have so much time and energy to give to people, right? So I feel like
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
yeah,
I
how
think
I
in the
feel.
beginning for me, there were instances where I felt like I didn't want to miss out. Like if I didn't go to
Mm-hmm.
this event, like I would
Mm-hmm.
wonder what I'm missing out on. And so I would try
Mm-hmm.
to go as much as I can. But
Yeah.
now I'm coming back to like the other side where it's like,
Mm-hmm.
huh, like I meet these people. Do I actually want to be long-term friends with them? Like that's something I'm
Mm,
starting to think more of. Like, would I actually want them in my life? Like, will
yeah.
we be like good friends? And yeah, like having that discernment is pretty important. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely feel me on the friendships part because like as I've moved, states inside the US, like I have broken up friendships and then made new ones. And then before I would think about, okay, I need to have like a number of people, right? So like quality, but now, no, quantity, but now it's more like quality over quantity.
Yes.
Um, yeah. And I feel like not everybody vibes with you, right? And you can't be everybody's cup of
Yeah.
tea. So I've had to like end, friendships because they don't serve you like in the season of your life. And I don't know, it's just weird, right? Like making new friendships as a 20 something, it's hard, I
Yeah.
feel like
It is pretty tricky. Like, it's so different from when we were younger and at school, we would just make friends because we were seeing each other every day because of proximity. But
hmm
now, as adults, like, we don't live close to each
yeah.
other. We have to actually make plans intentional, like, spend our time and energy intentionally, like, plan things, make an effort to do things
hmm
together and meet up. And yeah, it is very different.
yeah. Are there like ways where like red flags, in a friend that you're like, that's a no-no?
Such a good question. I think one thing for me is like if they're, how do I say this? I would want people who have reflected on themselves. Like I don't just want
Mm,
people who, okay, in Bangkok, it is
yeah.
big on like party life and drinking. So I'm
Oh.
pretty sober. So I
Mm,
wouldn't want someone who's constantly just partying and like going out and then I guess distracted by that.
no, I
Yeah,
agree with you.
I don't think I would vibe with them either. I guess that could be a red flag for me.
Yeah,
Yeah. And also people who just, huh, like complain or like, a lot, like the negative
men,
things.
yeah,
I don't want to surround myself with too much
true.
of that. Like, sure, it's fine to maybe complain sometimes, but not, I don't
hmm
want that
Yeah,
24/7, just
yeah.
texting me and yeah,
hmm
I don't want that.
Yeah, energy. Oh my God, yes. No, I'm like that
Yeah.
with you. Yeah. Like I feel
Mhm.
heavy or like I feel uh resonated with the part where you said like if they have not reflected on themselves, right? Because yeah,
Mhm.
at this point, I feel like we all have, our own baggage, but there are times where when you meet someone new, you can tell like same if they're like
Yeah.
ranting too much, if they're like telling all these stories that are not true, right? Um,
Mhm.
And I feel like, yeah, we can tell if a person, it's not like coming from a place of, oh, like I'm better than you, but like, there are people who
Yeah,
haven't done like reflection and like the, journey that is needed to be done to, have you in your friend circle. So I totally resonate with you on that. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because like we can only meet ourselves like as
Mhm.
deeply, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
yeah, I've had to, kindly and lovingly tell some of my friends to try therapy because, they would try to
Mhm.
like trauma down or not necessarily that's not a bad thing, right? Like I also sometimes not trauma dump, like trauma bonding, right? So I feel
Yeah,
like there are times where like we did that in the past, but that was my old version, and now like there will be times where people will try to do that, and I'm like, I love you, but like, have you tried, therapy? So like being kind
right.
and loving, but also like gently pushing them towards how they can be better. So I like that.
For sure.
hmm hmm
Yeah. Mm.
Okay, I know, like it's been a while since you've chatted. Like I feel like we need to do a part two. I can't.
I know. Can't
This was
believe
so
it's
much
already
fun.
been,
I
yeah,
know.
time just went by so fast.
Yeah, I feel like we were in a flow because when I first started, I was like, oh my God, like what are we gonna talk about? But it just kind of
Mhm.
flowed.
Yeah, just flow state.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. I really enjoyed this conversation with you, and felt like I was talking. Yeah, I've known you for a long time, so I really appreciate your energy.
Yeah, no, thank
Um,
you for also just inviting me to this and like, letting me come and like, have a conversation. And I also really enjoyed this. This was so nice.
yeah, no, would you like to share where, the people can find you and follow you on your socials and keep up with your journey?
Yeah, my social media is finding Chi, KYI, and I am on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Substack.
Yay, I need to catch up on your YouTube vlogs. So
Oh,
I think I'm gonna do that.
oh my gosh. Thank you.
Yeah, next time we can talk more about like I don't know, it can be a free-flowing conversation, but I really enjoyed doing this with you. Thank you so much for the
No, this
time,
was so fun.
Chi. Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. And then it's Wednesday for you, so I hope you have an amazing day. And yeah, I
Thank
look
you.
forward to your solo date.
Thank you. And I hope you have an amazing week as well.
Okay. Thank you so much, Chi. Bye. Take
Bye.
care.
See you.